Ohio.
Thank you, Mr. President. I thank my colleague from Virginia for his always speaking out for our men and women in uniform and for our nation's veterans and for his patriotism. Tim, thank you. President, right now, our nation's retired coal miners, and I know Senator Kaine and Senator Warner care about this too greatly, our nation's retired coal miners are on the brink of losing the health care and retirement benefits that they have earned over a lifetime of hard work. It's within the power of this Congress to stop this, to help the mine workers to do right by these hardworking Americans. Many of them are veterans. Most of them wore their bodies out to give their families a better life. There is no more fitting action that we can take during this holiday season as to honor this promise that the American government has made to our nation's mine workers since Harry Truman made that promise. The workers held up their end of the bargain. It's despicable that we're not holding up ours and that we're preparing to leave town without lifting a finger to help these workers. The United Mine Workers of America's health care and pension plans cover some 100,000 mine workers. 6,800 live in Ohio. If Congress fails to act, thousands of retired miners could lose their health care this year. It's retirement security, as I emphasize, it's retirement security they work for, security they fought for, security they sacrifice raises and their own health for. Understand this, that too many people that dress in suits and work here and draw good salaries and draw good benefits don't understand what happens at the bargaining table for workers in our country. They often give up raises today to defer that money so that they have retirements and pensions in the future. Say that again. People at the bargaining table give up dollars today. Rather than take a little higher pay today, they're willing to defer that so they have better pensions and health care. This Congress, this Senate is blocking us from doing that, the Senate leadership. These are workers who've worked for decades in the mines, hard, back-breaking work, but work that had dignity. I live in a place that some national media people, including President-elect Trump, also have referred to my part of the country as the Rust Belt. When they say Rust Belt, that's a direct attack on the dignity of work. It demeans their work. It diminishes who they are. It's saying that those people are in the past that work in states like mining and steel workers and others who make things. For these mine workers, every year during their work in the mines, they've earned and contributed to a health plan and a pension plan. I've met with some of these workers like Norm Skinner and Dave Dilley and Babe Erdis. I've heard their stories. They knew they were signing up for tough, dangerous work. They worked in the mines, after all. They knew that, but they also know their work had dignity. That work was part of a covenant we used to have in this country. A covenant said, if you work hard, if you put in the hours, you contribute to retirement, you provide for your own health care in the future, you'll be able to support yourself and your family. It's what built our country. It's what created the middle class. But today, the value of that work is eroding. We're choosing too often, too many major corporations in this country are choosing profits over people. We haven't lifted a finger, frankly. The political agenda here for some people that run this Senate, they seem to have some kind of, they simply don't have the respect for the mine workers, for the union. They seem to have some anti-union sensibilities about this. Whatever it is, they're not lifting a finger to help these workers who put in the effort and who are in trouble through no fault of their own. There's no reason to leave town. We shouldn't be going home for the holidays without taking care of 6,800 mine workers in Ohio, a number of mine workers in Southwest Virginia, thousands of mine workers in Virginia and Eastern Kentucky and Southwest Pennsylvania. This is a bipartisan solution. It won't cost taxpayers a dime. If this bipartisan mine workers legislation was brought to the floor today, it would pass with majorities in each party. We shouldn't be taking up other legislation until we do. This should be part of the Cures Act that we will be voting on later. The Cures Act has important components to it, good steps on mental health, on hospital reimbursement, has my National Pediatric Research Network Act in it. But it's a 900-page bill negotiated entirely in the House. It has major flaws. It does include funding for NIH, funds to fight the opioid epidemic. We know how important that is. But the funding isn't mandatory. It will be
to the whims of future Congresses. So while this is pretty good happy talk, we're saying the right things, we're putting some language in this bill, but it doesn't guarantee the money will be there. It's so important to my state. A new report released this week showed Ohio had the most drug overdoses that resulted in death in the country in 2014. Not the most per capita. We had more drug overdose deaths than California, 3 times our population, Texas, twice our population, more than Illinois and Pennsylvania and New York, in Florida, all states with more people than we did. More Ohioans died of drug overdoses from OxyContin or oxycodone or heroin or the new drugs, that the new synthetic drugs we're seeing more and more. We've got to do more. The $1 billion in grants in this bill are critically important, but it needs to be mandatory funding. It can't be that some powerful member of the House or Senate stands in the way of this down the road to actually get these communities the money. We can't fight year after year to get these dollars appropriated. The Cures Act gives significant concessions to big pharma, which is the big drug industry, the drug giants in this country, but does absolutely nothing to combat drug prices. So we give concessions to the big drug companies, but we do nothing to fight the high cost of drugs in this bill. We shouldn't be spending time on this flawed bill until we keep our promises to the 12,000 mine workers I mentioned. These miners worked in some of the most dangerous conditions of any jobs in this country. They deserve the full pension and health benefits they were promised. They have worked a lifetime to earn these benefits. They kept faith with us. We must keep faith with them. It's simply irresponsible and immoral for us to leave town and not take care of the mine workers. I note the absence of a quorum.
The clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Alexander.